the nasal cavity. This is the lateral nasal wall, while this the nasal septum أو medial nasal wall. Starting bilateral nasal wall, this is the frontal bone. This is the frontal sinus, the nasal process of the frontal bone. This is the nasal bone. This is the lateral process of the septal cartilage, and this one is the greater alar cartilage. Greater alar cartilage. This is the anterior nares, this opening. The maxillary bone. This is the maxillary bone. This is the frontal process of the maxillary bone. This one is the palatine process of the maxillary bone, the incisive foramen, and continuous as incisive canal. This one is the superior alveolar arch, completing the hard palate with the palatine process of the maxillary bone. This one is the horizontal process of the palatine bone and the perpendicular process of the palatine bone. In the perpendicular process, this one is the sphenopalatine foramen. This one is the sphenoidal bone. This is the medial pterygoid plates, lateral pterygoid plates, and sphenoidal, the body of the sphenoid, the sphenoidal air sinus, tuberculum cilia, dorsum cilia, and the cilia torsica, and the hypophyseal fossa. This one is the opening of the sphenoidal air sinus, open into the sphenoidal ethmoidal recess. Sphenoethmoidal recess. This is the sphenoethmoidal recess. This is the ethmoidal bone, cristae galli, and the cribriform plate from this side. Cribriform plates. While from this side also there is a cribriform plate. Lateral process of the ethmoidal bone, and the inferior turbinate, which is also inferior concave, which is separate bone from that all of these bones. On the lateral nasal wall there is, this one is the inferior turbinate, below it inferior meatus. Second position here is the middle meatus, and this is the pulla ethmoidalis بالmiddle meatus, والhiatus similionaris. This is the hiatus similionaris, and the superior turbinate, sphenoethmoidal recess. This opening is for the nasolacrimal ducts in the inferior meatus. Those openings is for the frontal air sinus. Here the opening for the sphenoidal air sinus open into the hiatus similionaris of the middle meatus. This large opening for the maxillary sinus in the middle meatus in the hiatus similionaris, while the superior or anterior ethmoidal sinuses open into the pulla ethmoidalis together with the middle ethmoidal air sinus. On the superior, open to the posterior ethmoidal air sinus, while the sphenoidal into sphenoethmoidal recess. The nasal septum. This one is the nasal septum. This is the septal cartilage, the perpendicular plate of the ethmoidal bone. This one is the vomer, while this small part is the nasal process of the maxillary bone and the nasal process of the palatine bone.